各位，川普現在已經登上了飛機，正在飛往中國的途中。哎呀，我們前两天也说了，如果是川普强行带上被中国给制裁的卢比奧，会怎么样呢？果然，川普是带上了卢比奧。这是没去中国之前，先给中国来个下马威吧啊！当然了，川普那个嘴巴，那肯定是先给中国来個甜枣啊！在這個起飛之前，他說中國很好啊，我和中國沒問題啊。
China has been great for us economically, but not for other presidents. But we've done very well with China. I mean, we've had no problem with China and our end. And everybody said, "Oh, China, China." We've had no problem with China. Had no problem with China.
对于美国总统特朗普即将对中国进行的国事訪問，無論從美國白宮到國會山，還是從智庫研討會以及商界領袖、農業、科技等領域的代表，各界的目光都會跨越太平洋，聚焦這場對中美關係乃至地區和全球和平穩定都會帶來影響的重要的會晤。從民調和輿論來看，美國民眾對中美關係穩定發展的期待值在顯著回升。根據皮尤研究中心最新發布的民調顯示，近期美國公眾對華正面認知度較2023年幾乎翻了一番。儘管競爭仍然是關鍵詞，但是有越來越多的美國民眾開始傾向於支持中美在氣候、經貿、中東局勢等等全球性議題上開展建設性的合作。輿論普遍認為，這種態度的轉變源於民眾對於當前全球動盪局勢之下尋求穩定性的渴望。美聯社的報道當中也指出，按照美方的期待，希望能夠通過中美兩國元首直接的會晤，能夠建立起制度化的貿易委員會機制，將雙邊經貿引向更加透明和可預測的軌道。那麼，在美國的商界，期待元首外交能夠為全球供應鏈注入強心劑。美中貿易全國委員會的主席譚森近日在接受媒體採訪時就表示，他對於這次中美兩國的元首會晤很樂觀。他認為這次國事訪問可以讓美方的很多的政客能夠客觀清晰地了解當前中國最真實的情況，以便做出對於中美關係客觀而且正確的決策。那麼其他的一些主流商業團體近期也表示，中美關係的穩定不僅關乎兩國企業的利潤，更關乎全球市場的通脹預期。像美國大豆出口協會的首席執行官近日在接受總台採訪時也表示，包括大豆採購在內的中美農業合作已經穩定持續了40多年。他期待這次的會晤能夠為中美農業合作注入穩定性，最終惠及兩國人民。另外，其實美國的智庫以及政界的學者則更多的在關注中美如何發揮壓艙石的作用。在當前的國際背景之下，特別是中東衝突持續、全球能源市場波動的時刻，像美國的布魯金斯學會的專家就指出，中美兩國元首的這種引領作用是獨一無二的。通過最高層面的直接溝通，兩國不僅在管理分歧，更是在共同制定風險減壓的機制。世界格局牽一髮而動全身。分析認為，在中美關係經歷波折之後，兩國元首在此刻的面對面的溝通，本身就是一個極其強烈的信號，即無論競爭如何激烈，這兩個大國都有責任，也有能力通過頂層外交，為充滿不確定的世界帶來一份難得的穩定性。而這不僅也是中美兩國的共同的利益所在，更是國際社會的普遍共識。
這個中國這個外交政策呀，總是死要面子活受罪呀，是吧？擺明了啊，這個川普去中國就是單方面去討飯佔便宜的，是吧？就是中國呢有一毛病啊，就是把這個帝國主義啊往往想的都太好了，把這個川普想的太好了，給川普以極高的禮遇，川普的大概是什麼飛了好幾這個十幾次架次吧，運去了很多的東西，包括川普自己的特勤的部隊裝甲車在北京的大街上，而且這個北京方面做的安全措施可是事無巨細啊。
這次來北京出差差點沒回去，好家伙，我覺得非常有必要把这次經歷的安全意識的一個真實的事情分享給大家。老姐妹呢一定知道我跟北京國際飯店的姻緣。15歲家境特別困難的時候，在那裡實習打工，並且邂逅華僑資助我把學上完了，所以我對北京國際飯店是非常有情懷的，也是一個莫大姻緣的地方。時隔27年之後，也是來北京出差，我就想要在北京國際飯店入住。對面的北京站呐，旁邊的天街呀，一草一木呀，我對那裡都非常的有觸動。當合作夥伴知道我跟北京國際飯店的姻緣之後呢，他就特意給我拿了一個望遠鏡，說張老師啊，你可以看看北京站、天街一草一木，你一定會很有感觸。我說好呀。昨天晚上談完合作，吃完飯回的房間都已經是11點多了，洗漱完我就睡着了。剛睡着我就聽到有人敲門，我說誰呀？說我是公安局的。我在想，我這一個守法的公民，看了一眼手機12點10分，是吧？又是5星級的飯店，安全是有保障的呀。我就走到門口那兒，沒有開門，我就說你是誰？什麼事兒？他說我是公安局的，你開一下門。我說有什麼事兒嗎？他說你是不是有一個望遠鏡？我說是啊。他說我是公安局的，你開一下門。哎，我就隔了一個小縫啊，開了一個小縫隙。我說我有望遠鏡怎麼了？他說你拿望遠鏡幹什麼？我說我拿望遠鏡看呢。他說你看什麼？我說看北京站，看景啊，怎麼了？他說你還看哪兒了？我說我沒在看哪兒呢。我說有什麼問題嗎？我不可以拿望遠鏡嗎？他說這裡是長安街，不要看你不該看的。就雖然是半夜，但是我忽然間明白了，這是關乎於安全意識的，而且是國家層面安全意識的。我就很配合跟他講啊，我是哪裡人，為什麼拿望遠鏡，我看了哪裡啊，然後明天望遠鏡就送走。公安局的人走了之後，我就躺下，我就在想，誰會知道我房間裡面有望遠鏡？只有一種可能，收拾房間的服務員。那他為什麼會報備給公安局呢？有2種可能，一種是之前他可能經歷過什麼樣的真實案例，另外一種就是公安局會告訴他，如果你看到房間裡有拿望遠鏡的形跡可疑的人，一定是要報備的。於是就有了這麼一個事情。
15歲接受了老華僑的資助，然後就住進了北京飯店信息量很大，是不是？你看看中國方面为川普的安全是做了多麼萬全的準備呀！就根據這個媒體的報道說，第一夫人這次不跟川普出行了那也就是說，中國的第一夫人也不用出來一塊接待了唄。卢比奧隨行拍到了媒體拍到了盧比奧隨行了而且有一個中國熱搜，就是盧比奧隨行訪華。盧比奧隨行訪華，他穿了一身跟馬杜羅被綁架時一樣的服裝。
Rubio, by the way, John and Sandra are coming is a big deal because you'll remember back in 2020, China actually sanctioned him and banned him. So this time they are waiving that so he can join the president.
Yeah, right. And they'll be welcoming him on the red carpet, I assume, as well. What a turnaround. So what about...
這個中國現在解除了對盧比奧的制裁了嗎？還是說跟網友們調侃的一樣，盧比奧改了一個名字就不制裁他了？沒有正式宣布吧？我覺得如果能讓盧比奧下飛機的話，中國外交那就很被動了。盧比奧挑釁式的在飛機上還發了一個圖，各位你看看這個圖裡邊，他穿着跟馬杜羅同款的服裝。 他這是什麼意思呢？向中国挑衅、示威，還是調侃自己將會像馬杜羅那樣被中國給扣下？我覺得沒必要扣下他吧，不讓他下飛机不就完了嗎？對嗎？這一次川普啊，是帶着滿滿的幻想去的中國，還要把港獨分子黎智英給要出來。
Thank you, sir. I was speaking with Claire Lai this morning. She's the daughter of Jimmy Lai, and she told me that she's been praying and hoping that you'll be the one that brings her dad home. She says of any administration, she thinks you're the one that could do it.
You said Jimmy Lai.
Jimmy Lai's daughter.
And there's another gentleman, a minister, pastor, as you know, over there. I'll bring them both up. I brought it up before. Jimmy Lai I brought up. The other one I just heard about this morning, actually. And I do bring that up. You know, we've gotten, I don't know if you've been reading John Cole, who's a great lawyer. He was a tobacco lawyer. He's great guy. I won't say he's an older guy because he may be offended by that, but he is. He's a little older. He's a little older, and he's a wise man, actually. Made a fortune with the tobacco. He did the first tobacco lawsuit. And he's a great man, and he's brought back hundreds of people out of various Belarus. You know, you read about that. We had, and the leader has been fantastic. But somebody has to ask him. Biden never asked, we asked. And we're getting hundreds of people out of confinement and prisons that shouldn't be there, and hundreds, and many of them aren't even citizens of the United States. They're people that have been captured in some form, ministers, and, people that are really innocent people, and they're being held captive. And I bring up Jimmy Lai. Now, Jimmy Lai, he caused a lot of bedlam. I don't know. It's like saying to me, if Comey ever went to jail, would you let him out? It might be a hard one for me. Does that make sense? It might be a hard one, because he's a dirty cop. But Jimmy Lai isn't that way. But Jimmy Lai, he caused lots of turmoil for China. He tried to do the right thing. He wasn't successful, went to jail, and people would like him out, and I'd like to see him get out too. So I'll bring him up again. I have brought him up. There's another gentleman, a pastor, as you know, with a beautiful daughter and son-in-law that would like to see him get out. I'm going to bring his name.
There's an old saying that only Nixon could go to China, but soon they'll say only Trump could sell out to China. Xi Jinping has Donald Trump salivating at the prospect of $1 trillion Chinese investments in America that would threaten America's supply chains, threaten economic independence, threaten national security. Strengthen China at the expense of American strength. Donald Trump wants a deal with China so badly, he could sell out on American manufacturing. He could sell out on chips. He could sell out on Taiwan, which produces many of these chips. He could sell out on AI and on any number of grave issues that will determine who dominates the 21st century. Right now, again, to get his photo in the newspapers and try won't work to raise his very low poll numbers, he's going to sell out to China. We can't let Trump willingly give China our superior American technology, or allow him to serve Taiwan to the Chinese Communist Party on a silver platter, just so he can get the satisfaction of saying he made a deal.
To facilitate trade between the United States and China, Trump is going to declare that Trump is going to declare that Taiwan and China are the same political entity. He's going to refute Taiwanese independence. So that's the second thing. And the third thing is that I think you'll see massive cooperation in AI, where
江学勤教授，网名啊，江学勤教授的意思是说，川普会拿台湾 做交换。那如果是拿台灣做交换的话，像那个穿着囚服的卢比奧啊，是吧？港独分子黎智英啊，都70、80岁了，是吧？也没啥用了。我觉得倒可以作為交換啊，盧比奧，我把你這個解除制裁，是吧？然後呢，黎智英啊，我給你放了他。但是如果不拿台灣做交換的話，那中國這一次那個外交上可就顯得是相當的被動了哦。各位，你們覺得盧比奧會放行嗎？點個訂閱，咱們下期再聊。